Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to the Resident Evil Resistance tier list. Now, we are finally here. We have made the B tier, and this is fully where I start to expect a level of feedback and opinions, and that's all well and good. I'm here for that. But before we get into the B tier, I just wanted to kind of make a closing statement regarding something. So, before the B tier was going to go up, I initially was going to do a Q&A release. In the end, I've kind of had a little bit of feedback over the last day or two about tier list related stuff that makes me think that a Q&A releasing right now wouldn't be the best idea. And I think it's better if I upload the B tier here and kind of close off my thoughts on certain things so that it can be finally moved on from and, to be honest, ignored. So, first and foremost, I want to apologise to anybody who I have been overly petty with or just flat out troublesome with. For the most part, I believe I've handled all of the noise and pettiness surrounding the tier list well. I've mostly ignored it, I've mostly let it go, but there has been one or two more notable occasions where I've got involved in comments, in videos, and just engaged with silly content that I really shouldn't do. Because A, it's not worth it, and B, as a couple of people have made me aware of in the last couple of days, even if I myself am not trying to be personal or doing anything with my comments, like for the most part, I am just going along with the stupid energy and the trolling in my direction. But nevertheless, when one or two people make you aware of how it does make you yourself look childish and silly as well, then yeah, that's where I then take that into account, realize, yep, fair enough, that is stupid. Do I regret getting involved in these comment sections? No. As I say, for the most part, this is just me giving back on petty subjects, but at the same time, is it needed? No. So, and with those last couple of days, I have well and truly just got fully bored of the pettiness now. By all means, the people who have spoke and will keep speaking, they're free to do so, because as I keep saying, it gives the series promotion and I couldn't care less. But at the same time, there has been one or two occasions where I've kind of, just got drawn into it. Not even in an angry way, just like I myself am bored and I just feel like having fun with them and messing around. But again, as I say, that just, it comes across stupid to people who are outsiders looking in at the comments. So this is the last time I will address any negative feedback, not regarding the tier list, but regarding me, talking about me, speculating about me. There has been comments where I've been like, really? You're going to assume that about me as a person because of a tier list? And quite honestly, there's been a couple of occasions in the last 2 days where stuff I've said has been taken completely out of context, and I'm just fed up with it, to be honest. So this is me just saying, look, I'm completely done with reacting to any of this silly pettiness. I am simply going to upload the rest of the tier list videos. I'll reply to any comments, that are fair, that are constructive, that even flat out disagree with me. But anything I see now regarding people talking about me on streams, regarding people making assumptions about me as a person, I don't care anymore. So up to this point, people have like been tagging me in streams or comments where I'm being mentioned, and don't get me wrong, I find it amusing. I do laugh at it. But now I'm just like, look, the tier list is reaching its end. I just want to kind of move past the pettiness. So if you see people talking about me on streams, don't tag me or send me messages about it, because I genuinely don't care. A few days ago I found it funny, and I did find it funny for a good few weeks, but now I'm just like, okay, it's getting a bit old now. So yeah, before I ramble on anymore, the main point is, I know I've done some dumb things and petty things during the last few weeks, for which I am sorry. I don't expect anybody else to apologise for the petty or downright disgusting things they've said. This is just me stating that I'm detaching from that negative energy, and that's me done with it. So you can talk all you want, you can react all you want, I'm not interested going forward. Anyway, let's move on to what we're actually here for, the B tier. And just like the C tier, it's big, because we've got a lot of good players in here. And we're going to start off with one of Aaron's friends, actually. Played with them very sporadically. Like, I've had sessions with them of like 5 to 10 matches, and then I won't play with them for a while, and then another 5 to 10 matches. But when I have played with them, they are a good, solid player who, as within the C tier, they're a good, solid Valerie as well. But no, this is a aggressive Valerie who knows what they're doing, while also taking responsibility and keeping safe. That is Creepy Freaky. Now, I don't know if they use any other character. I've only seen them on Valerie, but they're a very good Valerie. And the only thing that really limits them pushing higher on this list is I haven't played with them enough, and there's never videos of them on YouTube either, so it's not like I can scout them out and watch them for a bit. No, it's just a case of a bit of the unknown. But Creepy Freaky is a very good player. I can tell that just in the 10 to 15 matches I've played with them. And by all means, they are a very healthy way to kick off the B tier. Up next is a mastermind who I mentioned in the Honest Q&As as a very good creature mastermind. It's Delight. Very sturdy Annette. Very good mastermind in general. Very good at mixing spam, aggression, defense, and tactics. Like, they've got a little bit of everything sprinkled in there, and they're a good mastermind. The only thing stopping them going higher is really, they're not truly elite with Annette. They'll harass you and hound you, but if you do play a proper upper tier team against Delight, he can get stomped. But by all means, he held his own against a very big portion of the player base, and he deserves respect for that. Up next is a player who plays Valerie, a player who plays Tyrone, a player who I have near perfect connection with, a player who is my sister. Yes, C Western 4, I have put her in the B tier. I initially had her in the C tier, the top of it, mind you, like the top 3, but in recent sessions with her, despite her not playing the game consistently, having big breaks, and coming back and having particularly sweaty matches after a long time, she did well in them. So we faced Azucar, Azucar's Nikolai, and he's obviously very solid, and yet my sister played well. No bias here either. I would have had her C tier if not for the wins she's had lately, because with her, I do mostly just duo queue. Sometimes trio, occasionally in a team. But by all means, we mostly just face the vampires, the Dr. Hazes, the Mr. Magics, you know, good masterminds, but I'd never truly had sweaty matches with her in a team. Like, if we faced really good masterminds, it would be in duo. So I can't make a judgment from that. But by all means, she did very well recently against Azucar. Like, never got herself into trouble, positionally played very well. And then against Dom's Infection Alex, she was Tyrone. She plays Tyrone, you know, in spades, but Valerie is her main, and she's not as confident with melee, and yet she did very well. She Raidened when she needed to Raiden, she meleeed when she needed to melee. It was a drawn-out game. You could see why that she wasn't fully confident, but she played it patiently. She did really well. We won, and then we beat Dom Zanet the next match afterwards. Now, admittedly, that's beta squad with full damage on both the melee guys. So, you know, it's even the best Annets, they're going to struggle against that. But nevertheless, you know, if my sister wasn't a good player, or even if she was just alright, she would have got found out in one or two of those matches, but she didn't. She did very well, held her own, and in the B tier as a result. Next up is somebody who I hadn't seen much of until the last year or so. By all means, they are very good with multiple characters. They are most annoying against me with their Tyrone, though. Very good with their kick. And I never really see this player get any credit, and it probably is because they've, you know, mainly only been more noticeable in the last year or so. But it's Sunny_X. Very good all-round player. A bit like Jenan, actually. And having thought about it, I do think Jenan should also be in the B tier. It's a bit late for that now, I guess, but I'd put Sunny and Jenan back to back, having thought it over. They're both very good, composed, controlled players, and Sunny is a very, very overlooked Tyrone. Following Sunny is somebody who dabbles in a lot of things, is a underrated survivor, bit of an underrated mastermind in general, and by all means, they've always seemed a good laugh when I've spoke to them. It's Onaga. Now, Onaga's like a consistent staple in Resistance. He'll rarely have like a big break from the game. Like, you'll always see him kicking around here and there. And by all means, you can see that the consistent playtime on his end translates into just a well-rounded player. Onaga is not a fantastic survivor, but he's solid, reliable, and, you know, he's not going to throw a game. And as Mastermind, he has his fun, he has some interesting builds that don't work out, but he also, when he, you know, puts everything together, he can be a concoction of trouble on the Mastermind front. So, yeah, Onaga, very solid player all round. somebody that you're always pleased to see, and by all means, rightfully in the B tier. Following him is a very underrated Spencer, actually. They never were really like in the limelight. Like, a lot of people would have heard of him, but at the same time, they would have probably forgot about him, you know, within like a week of facing him. And that's not a bad thing either. It's just they're one of these players that you see, you face, and then you kind of forget about until you face them again. It's Dombak Danabek. Now, he was by all means a very, very underrated Spencer. He could play Tyrone, he could play Samuel, and do both of them very well. Just all round a dependable, solid player who genuinely just, as I say, didn't get any real credit. Yeah, his Tyrone, very solid, and he played a decent Alex as well, I believe it was. But yeah, just all round a good player who, I don't know I don't know why he didn't get any real attention, but yeah, if he did get more attention, he'd be a bit more respected for the level that he was at. Like, do I think he was perfect? No, of course not. Do I think he's as good as some people on the B tier? Absolutely, that's why he's here. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Next up is somebody who I did initially tinker with between like the B tier, the C tier, and in the end I've settled with them here. It's Guacadash. Honestly, not too much to say here. Guacadash, mainly my experience with him came like early 2021 to mid 2021, and he was just a good player. There's honestly not much to say about him. He's just a good player who could play Valerie, Martin, dabbled in a bit of Jan here and there, but he was one of these solid, reliable players like VSG, but he was like a more aggressive version. Like, his Martin was very good at pushing. His Valerie could be aggressive, like creepy freakies, but also defensive when needed. Like, he just had good knowledge of the game, and that's why he's in B tier. Following him is another person who played Martin. It is somebody who has a win against Peppenkek under their belt. Did not see them play anyone else, which does limit their peak here. But by all means, their Martin was very, very solid. It's Summer X Rose. Played with them and against them multiple times, and by all means, a good portion of the time, they were good, reliable, sturdy, and dependable. As I say, they only really played Martin. They didn't play Mastermind. They didn't dabble in the other survivors, so there's a limit. But by all means, based on Martin gameplay alone, they are definitely worthy of the B tier. Following Summer is somebody who is the second half of somebody I mentioned in the C tier. In this case, their duo queue partner has risen slightly above them in the ranks, and you might have guessed it already, if you can put two and two together. The one in the C tier was Samuel, and the one here is Celestial. Now, Celestial O is just a really good player. A cap on her true peak, because she only really played duo, But by all means, on the odd occasion where I'd see her group up with people in a solid team, they'd do well. They knew how to play. But again, they more preferred that, I was going to say more casual life of duo queue, but at the same time, it's obviously more challenging because you're not going to be in a team. But by all means, Celestial's a very good player. And yeah, as I say, the only thing stopping her being higher is just a lack of being able to prove themselves consistently at a higher level. But that's just not something she was interested in, I guess, and that's all well and good. Very good player. And yeah. Next up is somebody who is a very interesting player. Now, I mean, I'm building them up like a mystery man here. It's not really that much of a mystery because they're one of the more well-known players in the game, a very consistent mastermind who plays basically any mastermind, and they're also a fine Valerie as well. It's Dr. Hayes. Now, Hazy Boy loves his Daniel, but he can dabble in anything. He can play Alex, he can play Spencer, he can play Nicola. I've seen him on everybody, and he's good with everybody. Would I say he's sensational with anybody? I don't think so. And that's what stops him pushing higher in the list. But by all means, if you're good with every mastermind, that also puts you in the B tier in the first place, because that's very respectable. So yeah, Dr. Hayes is great to have around because at the end of the day, he'll play every mastermind and he'll be competitive with all of them. Even if he gets absolutely stomped, he still, you have to still be on your game to beat him. And again, by all means, when you see the name Dr. Hayes flash up, you don't know what build he's going to play, what mastermind he's going to play, and that keeps it fun and interesting. It's not like if you face who's like an Annette? The Darkness Jill. Let's say if you face the Darkness Jill 5 times in a row, it's just you're going to face Annette 5 times. Or, well, even me. I'd use Nikolai 5 times probably, or Nikolai 4 times, Spencer once. It's not particularly interesting after a couple of games. But with Dr. Hayes, it's fresh, it's unpredictable, it's fun. And his builds and the variety in how he plays is exactly what the game is about. Following the Doctor, it's going to be back to the Martins. Again, a bit like Summer Rose here, this player isn't higher purely because I only see them on Martin. Now, I do believe there's been once or twice I've seen them on Samuel as well. But by all means, like 99% of their matches are Martin. They're a very good Martin. They're a 999 Martin. But again, it's one of those things that there's a limit on. It's Gloomy Sunday. Now, Gloomy, as I say, very good Martin. Problem that limits him is that he didn't particularly want to get involved in all the sweaty matches. And again, I must emphasize, that's not a bad thing. You don't need to be in sweaty matches to still be a good player. Like Gloomy Sunday's in the B tier. B tier is very good. But when I'm trying to judge players one by one in how good they are at the game, I do have to take into account the willingness to participate in sweaty matches often. Gloomy really didn't like facing Nikolai's. Like, most of the time just flat out refused to play against them. Well, not like refused to play, like rage quit, but like, you could tell he didn't really want to face them, and that's fine. If he enjoys playing the game a certain way, that's fine. But yeah, at the same time, only playing one character and that kind of, you know, lack of wanting to chuck himself into sweaty matches just keeps him a little bit further down the B tier. But by all means, I do believe he was a good enough player to have been in meta teams with his Martin. I do believe he could have beaten most masterminds in the game by using his Martin in a SWAT team. So yeah, I know the potential's there with him. He just, yeah, enjoyed the game in a different way. And we'll do a couple more to wrap up this part, I think. Next up is Leonardo. Played with her only a couple of times. By all means, seems a lovely girl. Seems very wholesome and just nice to be around. She's a good Valerie. I've only really seen her on Valerie, but she's a very good one. Knows how to play, knows how to stay safe, the usual stuff that I'll compliment good Valeries on. And she's also very patient, she's also very calm under pressure. Like, I don't see her wobble or worry when things start to get a bit shaky. She'll always, you know, it's a lack of caring about losing, and that's a good thing in her case, because it just means she plays well. Like, some people would buckle under pressure, and she just doesn't really mind if she wins or loses, and it makes her play better. For some people, it wouldn't. For some people, a lack of caring about winning or losing would make them lose focus. But in Leonardo's case, it makes her play better and more relaxed, and again, just all round a good player. Next up, we have the man who mostly dabbles in Alex. Can play other masterminds as well, but he plays Trap Alex and Infection Alex mostly, and he's very solid with it. It's Mr. Magix. Good player all round, good mastermind. I believe he was stronger back in the day. He's a bit like I said with Payne Akatsuki. Didn't really adapt well as time went on and people got stronger, better, and especially better against Infection mod. Like, Mr. Magix's Infection mod back in the day was very strong, and then as people got better against Infection mod, he didn't really get better himself. Like, he did, but in a slower way. Whereas, like, other Infection Alexes would adapt, you know, they'd stop spawning directly at your feet and they'd spread out how they spawn creatures. Mr. Magix kind of just stagnated a little bit with his Infection Alex. Still a good mastermind, still a good Trap Alex and Infection Alex, but yeah, if I did this tier list 2 years back, he would have been higher. And I think to wrap up the first part of the B tier, we will have a Nikolai player who, when they played meta, they were one of the stronger Nikolais around. By all means, they then kind of moved away from the meta Nikolai stuff and started chucking in supply zombies or umbrella reserves, and they were still really good with their Nikolai while doing this. But yeah, just not as good as they once were. It's well, they were called Doom back in the day, and now they're called Cruea. I don't know how exactly to pronounce that, but they were a very good Nikolai back in the day, very solid, good player, and they're actually a really good speedrun Tyrone, actually. They are a bit of a nightmare to deal with in that regard. But yeah, Cruea/Doom, good Nikolai, good Tyrone, and yeah, always very exciting to play against, whether they are Survivor or Mastermind. I've had good games against them on Survivor when I've been Nikolai, and good matches against their Nikolai when I'm Survivor. So, yeah. Again, what you want from the game, what you love seeing, and that will wrap up the first part of the B tier. I believe we only got through about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 15 players. So not too many, but I did have my ramble at the start, which I did feel was necessary. Again, I want to just quickly emphasize, I'm done engaging in the pettiness. I am here just to say I am sorry for any of the pettiness I did, and if me saying that can make a couple of people relax and let things go, then cool, that's great. If they don't, then that's fine too. People are entitled to behave and feel how they want, but all I'm saying is, going forward, don't tag me and stuff like this. I don't want to see it anymore, because I'm bored of it, and I'm not going to engage with it. So yeah, that's my piece, and this was my piece on the B tier to get us started with as well. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back in a couple of days for more, and until then, have a lovely day and take care.